We're at a restaurant, and my waitress is a fat black lady.
Okay.
And she makes me feel really cozy.
Okay.
Like something about her demeanor and like the things she says makes me feel good, and I like feel cozy or whatever. And the bill comes, and I end up tipping her well. And then somebody says, "Well, the service wasn't that good. Did you tip her more? Did you tip her more because she's black?"
Wait, who's asking
Okay.
this?
How do you go with headshots, man? One taps, bro.
Becca.
Okay.
Okay. So I say, I guess, essentially I did, because the way her culture is, the way she was grew up in a black household, made her a certain way that made her feel cozy to me and made me tip her more. And then Becca was saying that that's racist. And I said, yeah, it's racist, but everything is inherently racist like that, I think. Let's say there were 1,000 Japanese waiters and 1,000 waiters of pretty much any other race. And let's say Japanese people actually got tipped to be waiters. On average, the Japanese people would have better service. So if you're tipping even entirely based on service, you would end up tipping based on race as well, because you'd end up tipping Japanese people more.
That's okay.
Gotcha.
And I said, I agree that like certain cultures you agree with more, so you think that their service is better because you're raised culturally similarly, right? But that it's not, you're not tipping because of their race, you're tipping because of the service. And then he's saying that the service is the race.
I'm gonna like peek upper and then.
Whew. Yeah. I think there's like multiple things at play here that need to be addressed.
Oh yeah, one there.
So like the first thing that I would think of is like just because you do something based on a person's race doesn't necessarily make it racist. Do you both agree with that, or do you not agree with that? Because we can talk about that first.
I actually don't even think that that's relevant. I think let's just use we did something based on the person's race.
Uh-huh.
Did we do something based on the person's race is what we're talking about when we say racist. I know it doesn't matter whether that's racist. Did we do something based on their race is the argument.
Yeah, I guess like
I say that we did.
I don't think
that
you
we-
guys disagree on anything. I think it's just become like a semantics argument. So like for instance, here's a thing. If I were to pose that you had a server or a waitress and she was just as cozy as the black lady, but she was white, but she found a way to be just as cozy because she's a white lady, would you have tipped her the same amount?
I think that yes, I would.
Yeah.
But my argument is the black lady will tend to be, on average, statistically, a higher percentage of the time cozy to me than the white lady would.
But what I'm trying to reduce it to is the idea that you're not doing it because of somebody's race. Now, like maybe somebody being
I don't think that's important.
Well,
That's
it is.
that's
That's
kind
the argument.
Well, but if
I
Becca
don't
is
think
if Becca is saying that you're being racist, then the implication there is that you're doing something directly related to a person's race, not in some deterministic sense that, well, because they're black or Japanese, they happen to have these characteristics, and these characteristics are why I tip them. But like when you call somebody racist, it's typically like, well, you're just doing it because of the race of the person, which is a different claim, I think.
Okay, but you can take this another step and you can say, well, even if my intention is not to tip based on the race, if it ends up being that I do tip based on the race, we can't be intention, because if you're judging everyone based on intention, most people do have good intentions, even like somebody like Pablo Escobar, who's like shooting, killing people and selling cocaine. He just wants to help his family or whatever, right?
Okay.
Then, so even if my intention is the same, it doesn't mean that it's not racist. Even if my intention is not to give Japanese people a better tip, but they end up having better service every single time, let's say not every single time, a higher percentage of the time, then I do end up tipping Japanese people more. So if someone asks me, do you tip Japanese people or any other people more, I'd say, oh, I tip Japanese people more.
Yeah, but I think the key question is like
right?
If you say something like Japanese people, by virtue of being Japanese or whatever, tend to be more kind and courteous and good delivering of service and whatnot, then that's fine. But if you would say something along the lines of like, even if white people were just as courteous as Japanese people, I would still tip Japanese people more. Well, then it's like, okay, well, this is a race thing. Like it feels like you're kind of rolling.
That's not. I agree with. I agree with that statement. But do you agree with the statement that if I'm tipping completely based on service,
You got me an
and let's assume Japanese people are better at service, okay, then
You're a really nice guy.
am I tipping Japanese people more? Yes. Then if you ask me the question, do I tip Japanese people more than other people? The answer is yes.
Yeah, but it's
You know.
not because they're Japanese. They just happen to be Japanese. And
That
they have
doesn't matter.
But it does.
I think that doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I would. If you're arguing whether something is racist, I argue that would be the
That's
central.
what we're arguing about.
Yeah.
I think that we got to this point, and she thinks the intention matters.
No, it's not the intention. It's I might think that like a certain race, like Japanese people, like their politeness and their service matches well with what I think of as good service. That's not the Japanese people. It's their culture or how they were raised, but that doesn't mean like race is equal to service. But
in the end, the race is equal to this.
Well, no, but it's not. It's not. It's just the race is the tool used to provide the race is a tool by which they acquire characteristics that you appreciate that lead you to tip more. It's not because of their race.
Of course, but then that exact statement you just said.
Okay, but what Reckful, what I'm saying is that if you go this
Simplified.
reductionist,
No, the statement you just said. The thing you just said could be simplified to
no, but it's not a
this
simple.
race has better service.
If you get this reductionist, then every single thing can be racist or sexist, and then the words become more pointless, right? Like, if I were to say something like,
I agree. That's
yeah.
what I was saying. I was saying that the word, the way most people think about it, is pointless, and you have to define it differently. I'm thinking.
well, no, I don't think it is
Because
pointless.
the way most people
Like,
think about it.
If let's say that I find somebody and let's say I don't like them just because they're black. I just don't like a black person. And let's say that a white person acts the same way, but I'm okay with that. I'm being racist in that I'm hating somebody, I'm judging somebody on the characteristics of skin color rather than on anything related to character. That's racist.
No, I totally agree.
But
I
that's
totally agree.
but that's way different than there's a black person and they stole something from me and I'm being racist by hating him for stealing because the reason why he stole is because he's black and he grew up in the projects. That's not racist the same way. That's being like very strangely reductionist in a way that makes the word racist like vacuous and pointless. Like at that point, the word means nothing, I think.
No, I agree. That's why I'm bringing it up, because I think that the word means nothing. If it was racist for me to tip her more, then I think that the word racist means nothing.
Well, so I think we agree that it wasn't racist for you to tip her more because you said that if a white person offered the same level of service, you would tip them.
Right.
Yeah. So then it
No,
wouldn't...
I agree. No, I agree. But now we're going to the definition of this. Let's change. So depending on the definition, it is racist if doing things to different if I do something tip differently to different races is racist, then it is racist.
No.
And if it's not, then
the
it's
reason
not.
why
And
is important.
If I treat different races differently, wait, one more thing. If treating different races differently is racist, then it is racist. And if we don't define it as that, then it's not. And
but this is
that's why I said at the beginning. That's why I said at the beginning that I think it's irrelevant how I define racist. Let's just define it as: do I treat different races differently? And the answer is yes.
Sure. So this is why I said in the beginning I felt like it was kind of like a semantic argument. Like it's just like I'm pretty sure that you guys agree on every concept. If you guys can just agree on like the definition of the word racist, then you'll probably agree on whatever upper point this is. Right? So you should be having a conversation like,
okay.
well, what do you think racism is? And then in your definition, I think that the word is so reductionist that it's pointless, so I would never define it that way. And then in Becca's definition, maybe you would agree like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess in that case this isn't racist or is racist or whatever in that definition. It just sounds like a semantics game.
I thought it was semantics as well until I said this. I was like, okay, so me, when I tip, I typically tip them 15% unless they like spill on me or they forget a meal, then that's work service. So I would tip like 10% because you still kind of have to tip. It's like a social thing. And then if they do a good job, like they suggest something that I really like, then 20%. And then he said, well, certain races are more something on you.
Let's say there's a certain culture that was I don't know which race, didn't grow up using plates or bowls, and you're getting something that's in a plate or a bowl. They're probably more likely to drop the plate or the bowl because they fill the plate or bowl less times.
Yeah, I already know exactly where you're going with this, and I don't agree. I think that at that point you've made the word racist so reductionist that it's pointless. You're not tipping because
I agree. No, I agree with that.
Oh,
I agree.
But we don't agree.
The point of my argument is that the word is pointless.
Yeah, we don't agree. We don't agree. Stop saying we agree because I don't agree that the word racist is defined that way. It makes the word worthless. I think that racist can mean something, but you're trying to say that.
No, I want it to mean something too. No. I usually define it the way you're about to define it.
Okay.
Which is if people are acting the exact same way, but they're different races and they're getting treated differently, that's racist. So we're in agreement there, right? But But me being called racist in this situation is the logical conclusion of it is that the reductionist definition of racist.
If wait, Becca, what do you think the argument is over? Hold on, I'm curious.
Oh, we know.
Him thinking that my idea of what, like me thinking I tip based on service is me being racist.
Okay, and
That's what his argument is. That's what his argument is.
Okay, but Becca, using his insanely reductionist definition, would you agree? I know that the word racist sounds bad, but if you define racist as literally, I treat different races differently because they grow up with different behaviors sometimes as a result. Like, would you agree then with his definition? If we use that strange definition, would you agree with his conclusion, or?
On that definition, I can see what he's saying because he's just generalizing and he's not like taking, he's just using this pure statistics, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
But I don't view people like that. So it doesn't make sense to me. Or
But sure, I understand that. I
it.
understand that. But I'm just saying that using that definition, you would agree with him, right? That concept, right?
Yeah, the concept, yeah, because we tend to like certain cultures and certain races have a certain culture.
Yep. Okay, cool. Then that's fine. Yeah, you guys don't disagree on anything. It literally just comes down to the semantic argument on how you define this word.
Yeah, you're right.
I think.
Okay, him saying, what do you think about him? Okay, can you say certain races are more likely to drop plates?
It's a numbers game, of course, right?
Oh God, it's just,
wait. You don't.
Okay, if you were like raised in America or you lived in America for like 15 years.
No, of course. Even if you grew up for 10 years not using a plate, because whatever, let's say a country that doesn't use plates, that you would be more likely to drop a plate.
Yeah. Okay. Stop. Can I just do this really quick because Reckful is going to win this argument if you go down this road. Okay. Here is the argument laid out in a stats point of view. Even if you've lived in America for 15 years, there's probably some things that you're inheriting from an immigrant family that is going to be different than the native population. You know, and this is going to be more noticeable if you're first generation as opposed to second, as opposed to third, as opposed to fourth. So from like a pure numbers game, the chances that a local would act in a certain way versus somebody that's immigrated recently or whose parents did or whose grandparents did, that's probably going to be traceable through some statistical thing. I mean, I'm sure that the answer to that is yes, right?
Yeah, if we're talking about a statistics game, then yeah, Byron's right. I'm just saying, this example is not even like the actual example.
No, but this is where we just...
Okay, wait, chill. So here, the problem...
If I'm right a little bit.
Well, but the problem why people get uncomfortable with this is that when you make a statement like this, the feeling, and I because I know how your brain works a little bit, Reckful, I don't think you mean this, but the feeling when you say that, when you say different races are more likely to drop plates, Reckful, I think what you mean is you're looking at it as a statistics/numbers game where different races of... Yeah, exactly. But when a normal person hears that, what they hear is you think that some people's races are more intrinsically prone towards dropping plates. And I think that's what makes, like, Becca uncomfortable. Is that a fair...
Yeah, actually, that's right. No, because it sounds
like you're ascribing them to like genetically that like certain cultures of people must be more prone to dropping plates because Mexicans or whatever or Hispanics.
Yeah, but what I'm actually saying is the way they're raised or the country they're raised, they use this thing less.
It's like you said, but we're saying the same thing because obviously culturally we're more similar to certain races.
Okay, no, we are saying the same thing. There was the one disagreement though that if that certain races will drop plates differently. That a little bit to some extent. There's disagreement there.
Because I'm only thinking about like when we go to restaurants in America, it's like everyone's around the same level.
Not necessarily. I don't agree with that.
I agree. Like when Stephanie says that it's like an immigrant from like another country, then yeah.
Even if they were here for 15 years, and then like 10 years of their life.
Yeah. So what Reckful is saying is like, let's say that you get somebody that immigrates from a country where they never use plates. I'm inventing this group of people. That this person, even if they were raised in America, is probably going to have parents that won't teach them how to carry plates as well as like a white family who was here all the time who learned how to use plates. So Reckful is saying here that there are learned behaviors that certain races of people are more likely to learn that will be will like manifest in different waitressing behaviors. But the reason why I think Becca is uncomfortable with that statement is because it sounds like you're saying that like Hispanic people, by virtue of being Hispanic, are like genetically more predisposed towards dropping plates. Because that's what that argument sounds like, which is why it's so uncomfortable to agree with it, right?
Yeah, but he still thinks of it genetically too.
Well, no, genetically is something else. Let's say This one's a little uncomfortable for stream. That's something else, but let's.
Yeah, okay, we'll not say that.
No, I mean the
Be careful.
You already know what I was gonna say, right?
I don't know. I've dealt with a lot of crazy people, so I'm not sure what you would say.
Oh, what I was gonna say is if you were if people of a certain race pick their mates based on a certain trait, if they pick it based on strength or in dexterity, like how well someone hunts or intelligence, in some situations, in some countries might pick up based on that, then over thousands of years, the genetics do become different.
Oh, yeah, sure. So here's what
right.
I would caution you for this, okay? Because biology gets a lot more complicated than just a numbers game. Or rather, no, I shouldn't say that. It all is numbers games. But the thing is that, like, when you talk about polygenetic traits, okay? So complicated traits that can show up in a variety of different ways in a variety of different environments, okay, that are comprised of many different genes, it would be very hard to get a pronounced difference between groups of people after only like a couple thousand years. That would be very difficult to do. Does that make sense?
Sure, 100%.
By pronounced difference, I mean,
Yeah, because the human
pronounced.
genome is so
There
fucking
would be a traceable difference
over
a couple thousand years. I mean,
I don't know, over a couple thousand years. I don't know if that's true. That might not be true.
even think about dogs. All dog species came from wolves in such a short period of time. They get very different. Their generations are shorter.
Careful. Oh god, dogs and humans are very, very different. So dogs were bred hardcore, in some cases inbred, for highly specific purposes.
Still. Say dogs. Obviously, dogs changed way more than humans did, and their generations are shorter, and they were bred. But you can see that 1/100th of the dog changes could have occurred, which would be, even the 1% would be traceable.
Maybe, but the thing is that the thing that
not maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
No,
maybe. Well, because you're assuming a lot of things here. One, you're assuming that a natural selective process has been applied to a group of people in a very specific and direct manner, which may not even be possible to demonstrate, right? Preferring one trait.
No, it does. No. At different countries, it's similar to the plate thing. Different countries, different cultures will breed based on different. More successful people in a certain country will be a certain way. Like, let's say, more successful people in some country many years ago in a different country might have been intelligent. That has to be true. It's not possible that it's not, I don't think. If over 2,000 years of breeding based on, let's say you have just hunter-gatherers, okay?
No, I understand everything you're saying. What I'm saying is that I think that genetics is a little bit, there are more levels of abstraction here that you have to deal with that make this not a simple numbers game, but a much more complicated numbers game.
And even if it's more complicated, I think that even all the complications, you can essentially ignore them because all I'm saying is that it changes it some percentile.
You really can't.
Some percentile.
Let me give you an example, okay? Let's say that it might be possible that I could copy paste the exact same genetic code to 100 people. However, based on where they grow up in a certain part of a city, these people might turn out to be dramatically different, just based on where they grow up, okay? Now, it's possible that
I'm fine with that.
Well, okay, so let me finish. It's possible that people could select mates based on certain traits that were more likely to show up in the northern population versus the southern population. However, that doesn't mean that you're going to see a difference in genetic, frequency, a little frequency over time, just because somebody preferred a different trait. It's possible that environmental causes would have caused a difference here from the same genetic background. That means that you're not actually choosing for different genes. Like, that's just like one of, like, there's a ton of layers of abstraction.
No, that's fine. Even if most of the time they're breeding based on environmental causes, to some extent, sometimes they would be breeding based on genes. Let's say a girl is deciding between me, a big-nosed Jew, and an Asian guy, okay? And let's say this has happened over thousands of years, over and over and over and over, and she's breeding with people like me versus the Asian guy many times, we do end up pretty different after thousands of years.
Yeah, that's possible. But what I'm saying is that, one, the human genetic...
possible? No, wait, possible?
Dude, this is really... Okay, listen, I've spent months studying this. Oh, God.
How can it not be possible?
Listen, debating... Reckful, Byron. No, okay, we're never going to agree on this. We're never going to agree on this.
400 generations.
It's more... Listen, I had to spend months studying this to debate race realists, okay? So I listened to, like, fucking Harvard lecture series on, like, fucking human genetic diversity, okay? What I'm telling you is that if you want to, like... I can send you the lecture series by a guy named Sapolsky. It's really fascinating, okay? Like, there is a lot of shit here that makes this so much more complicated than what you think, okay? One, gene flow is very...
I'm fine with it being complicated. I think that no matter how complicated it gets, So there's some percentile, even if it's infinitesimal, there's some percentile difference that's going to occur over thousands of years of breeding differently.
But the thing is that
cannot be
that
ignored.
can be erased.
It has to be true, and if you can disprove that, it'd be crazy.
The thing
it'd
is
be amazing.
that can be completely erased by the intermingling of two different populations of people. That all could disappear in one generation. Like, you could have two totally separate groups of populations that breed and blah, 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 like totally differently, and then in a single generation, those people might meet and fuck each other, and then all of that is erased immediately. And now you can't trace that back anymore, right?
But
Like,
let's use a country like Japan as an example, where they're what's it called, xenophobic, and they actually breed with only each other for really long periods of time, right? Okay? Are they going to end up very different than us here breeding? Like a Japanese person moves here and just starts breeding
the thing is that, like,
for 2,000 years.
2,000 years isn't a long period of time to see like a pronounced
It's a lot of generations.
No, but a pronounced genetic change. Our genetic code is very complicated. I don't know if you will see like pronounced.
No, but there's still not. What do you mean by pronounced? Well, how do you define that?
Like
what
something that you could
different?
like trace to like differences
I'm
in
talking about
behaviors.
ever so slightly different. It doesn't matter how slight. I'm just saying that it's different.
Sure. I mean, like if you were to start like analyzing like
Why do you
frequency.
say sure? It's true.
It's true,
different
but
enough-
because the
different enough
words
that
you're using, you have to be
measurable.
very okay. Because there's.
Is it measurably different after 2,000 years if you're breeding in Japan
stop,
with
stop,
other
stop.
Japanese
It's
people
measure- it's
for
measure-
2,000
it's-
years,
listen.
or breeding in the U.S. with
It's
Japanese
measurably
person?
different.
Is it measurably different
Listen,
or not?
it's measurably different.
That's
And, can I please say this? It's measurably different in that a geneticist can classify groups of people based on geography, but it might not be measurably different. It might not be measurably different insofar as who's more likely to drop a plate. That's what I'm saying. That maybe you can measure.
No, I'm not talking about it. Okay, I know. I'm not talking about the plate. I was just taking it to an extreme to say that it's different.
Okay, but like
I wasn't talking about that.
Yeah,
with the
you
plate.
just have to be careful.
No.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying you got to be careful because the logical conclusion for some people of what you're talking about is, well, if there's any difference in like frequency of certain, genetic alleles or whatever, that must mean that complex polygenetic traits can also be different from population.
I'm saying stuff like the person will be fucking shorter or taller by a little bit on average. The next one.
Maybe.
What do you mean maybe? If a Japanese people breed with each other for 2,000 years, or if a Japanese person comes and fucking fucks LeBron James and breeds over here for 2,000 years, who's gonna be fucking taller? Are you kidding? Of course it's different. It's impossible for not to be different.
I love you. Okay.
Was that right or wrong?
It's right, but height is not a complex polygenetic trait like a behavior would be in society. I don't even know how many genes code.
Yeah,
for
but I'm
height.
not talking about anything more than something simple as height.
Okay, but we started
that
off
one.
talking about like propensity to drop
Yeah, but
plates.
I did not mean to drop plates for that argument. You knew I didn't mean to drop
No,
plates.
I know,
Come
but
on.
that's where we came from. So I have to be very careful that I'm qualifying my statement so that you don't walk away thinking like, oh, well, so Destiny agreed with me. After 2,000 years, some people are going to drop plates all over the place, and other people are going to be perfect servers.
Okay, this is really funny. I'm glad we talked. Thanks for picking up.
I love you, buddy. Be careful, all right?
Love you. You want to better? You want to talk about? What do you want to talk to him about? You can talk to him for a minute. I have to pee.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Destiny.
Yeah, no problem, buddy.
Oh my god. Okay. Bye.
Okay, see you later, buddy. Bye.